In this study, we're going to be examining ancient Hebrew anatomy. We're going to begin with Psalms chapter 40, verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God, thy law is within my heart. Here we have the word heart. Behind it is the Hebrew word me'ah. Let's take a look at another verse that uses this very same Hebrew word. 2 Samuel 20, verse 10. So Joab struck him with the sword in the body and shed his bowels to the ground. First thing I'd like to mention here is I find it interesting how the translators of not only the King James Version but many other versions will take one Hebrew word and translate it different ways. In this case, we see that the Hebrew word me'ah is being translated as heart in one passage, but in another passage, it's being translated as bowels. The Hebrew word me'ah is literally the gut, but in ancient Hebrew thought, the gut is the seat of intuition, the unconscious mind. It's interesting that we have the expression, I have a gut feeling. This is the intuition. So even this concept is being carried over into modern times. Let's take a look at another verse, Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. Here we have the word life. That is the Hebrew word chai. And we're going to take a look at another verse that uses this very same word, chai. Job chapter 38, verse 39. Can you hunt the prey for the lion or satisfy the stomach of the young lions? Now, a lot of times this is translated as appetite, but it literally means the stomach. The chai is the stomach. What does stomach have to do with life? Well, think of yourself as a nomad. Your very existence depends upon food. If you have a full stomach, you have life. If you have an empty stomach, you have death. Job chapter 22, verse 8. The man with power possessed the land, and the favored man dwelt in it. Here we have the word power. Something to keep in mind here is that in our Greco-Roman culture, think abstractly. We're very comfortable using words that are abstract. An abstract is something that you cannot see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. But the ancient Hebrews, while they do have the ability to think in abstracts, the abstracts are always rooted in something concrete. This is a good example. We have the word power. That's an abstract. You cannot see, hear, smell, taste, or touch power. What word did the ancient Hebrews use to convey the idea of power? Well, it's the Hebrew word zeroah. So let's take a look at another verse that uses this word, zeroah. Exodus chapter 6, verse 6. And I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. Here is the word arm. Zeroah is translated here as arm. Zeroah concretely means the arm. Abstractly, it means power. So when it says that he redeemed Israel with an outstretched arm, it's talking about his power. Isaiah 46, verse 8. Remember this and consider. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. The Hebrew word translated as mind here is the word lev. Deuteronomy 19, verse 6 also uses the word lev. Lest the avenger of blood pursue the manslayer while his heart is hot. Here the word heart is the word lev. Again, the translators are not always very consistent on how they translate the Hebrew. The lev is literally, concretely, the heart, the organ that pumps the blood. But abstractly, it's the mind. Now, we in our Western mind think of the mind as the brain. The brain is the seat of thought. But in the ancient Hebrew mind, it's the heart that is the seat of thought. Psalms 26, verse 2. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind. Again, we have the word heart, but this time it's not mea, and it's not lev. This time it's the word kilyah. And here's another verse that uses the word kilyah, Exodus 29, verse 13, and the two kidneys with the fat that is on them, and burn them upon the altar. In this verse, the word kilyah is translated as kidneys. The kidneys, or kilyah, is in the ancient Hebrew thought the seat of emotion. The heart, which we think of in our culture as emotion, in the ancient Hebrew thought, the heart is the seat of thought, or the mind. But it's the kidneys in the ancient Hebrew thought that was the seat of emotion. Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man. The word for spirit is ruach. And here's another verse with the word ruach. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. Here the word ruach is translated as breath. Now the word ruach literally means wind, but it can also mean the breath. In other words, your wind, your breath. But it is also your character. It's your personality, what makes you you. That's your wind, your ruach. We've taken a look at several words here. Gut, intuition. Stomach, life. Arm, power. Heart, mind. Kidney, emotion. Breath and character. All of these put together make you. And there's one Hebrew word that expresses this whole idea of your whole being. And that is the Hebrew word nephesh. Nephesh is usually translated as soul. The problem with the word soul is that in our English language and our culture, the soul is very abstract. It's not something you can see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. And it's usually thought of as some part of you that you can't see or sense. It's just there. But in the Hebrew mind, the nephesh is all of you. It's the whole of you. So when you're reading the Bible, you must understand these words, these concepts, these ideas from a very concrete perspective in order to understand the mind of the authors who wrote the text. We cannot interject our own personal Western cultural perspectives into the text.